Hey all, Shmai this is Idna, and today I'm going to walk you through a HackTheBox Sherlock called Dream Job 1. This is a very easy threat intelligence Sherlock from ArthurWho, and I think it gives a really cool introduction to basic threat intelligence using MITRE ATT&CK and VirusTotal. This is part 1 of the Dream Job series of Sherlocks. Part 2 will retire in just a few days on the HackTheBox platform, so if you're watching this on the week the video is released, tune back in this Thursday for the follow-up part of the series. But for now, let's get cracking. Okay, so here I am on the HackTheBox platform. I'm just going to go to Sherlock's on the left-hand side. We are focusing on Dream Job 1, so I'll just start searching for that. And I'm going to be using PwnBox to solve this. You don't need to, it's mostly a browser-based Sherlock, but I just find that useful. So I'm going to click in here, PwnBox. Wait for that to find my location and click Start PwnBox. While that is deploying, let's just read through the scenario. You are a junior threat intelligence analyst at a cybersecurity firm. You've been tasked with investigating a cyber espionage campaign known as Operation Dream Job. The goal is to gather crucial information about this operation. Okay, so let's just see if my PwnBox is started up. And yep, we can click Open Desktop here. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is download the artifacts that come with this. So I'm going to copy that URL to the clipboard. And then in my terminal, dreamjob1.zip, and give that the path. The -L is just to follow redirects, and this is behind the CDN, so it will redirect a few times. -O gives it the file name, and then the path. Don't have to do this in curl, you can do that, just copy the URL into your browser, and that will come down fine. Let's just double check what we've got here. And we've got a zip archive data, that's what we want. So I'm going to unzip that. The password is HackTheBox for Sherlock's. You can always see that by clicking this button here to put that into your clipboard. I'm going to give that the directory of dreamjob1, and then let's browse into that directory. And we've just got a list of IOCs. So we've just got 3 hash files there. They will come in useful later on. Let's have a look at our first question. Who conducted Operation Dream Job? So the whole point of this Sherlock really is just to introduce you to the ways that threat intelligence, as more specifically MITRE ATT&CK, collates all of this information around threat actors, software, techniques, campaigns, all this into one place. On previous videos, I have likened it to the IMDb of threat actor activity. It's a really useful resource, and I think this Sherlock does a very good job of demonstrating that. So I'm just going to get started by just doing a bit of research on Operation Dream Job. First of all, just open up a browser. And let's type, I put that in the clipboard, didn't I? Operation Dream Job. And the very first link here is a MITRE ATT&CK link. And let's get rid of the cookie window. And this has come onto the campaigns section of MITRE ATT&CK. So most people will be familiar with the MITRE ATT&CK matrix, probably most likely the enterprise matrix, which looks like this. It's a list of all the known techniques and the tactics they fit into for various threat actor activity. But there's a lot more to MITRE ATT&CK than that. So the campaigns section here, this is all documented threat actor campaigns. Now, obviously, there's probably a lot more campaigns going on out there than just these here, but these are the ones that have been collated by MITRE and all of the information about them. So you can see a bit of an introduction, associated campaigns, the groups that are known to do them, the techniques used, the software used, and then references where all this information was pulled from. Some metadata here as well around when the campaign was seen, associated campaigns again, and some version history for this particular documentation. Operation Dream Job, cyber espionage operation likely conducted by the Lazarus Group that targeted the defense, aerospace, government, and other sectors in the United States, Israel, Australia, Russia, and India. A bit more information here around it, but one of the key pieces we'll need to do is security researchers notice overlapping TTPs to include fake job lures and code similarities between Operation Dream Job, Operation North Star, and Operation Interception. So this fake job lures is a key thing that we will bump into a couple of times in this, and hence the name, really, Dream Job. The question again, who conducted Operation Dream Job? I'm see most likely conducted by Lazarus Group. You will often find this in threat intel sources because attribution is actually so difficult, and also the geopolitical nature of some of these things. Actually documenting attribution isn't always the most wise choice. It's often it points out, so yeah, likely conducted by, or indications that this was conducted by this particular group or this particular nation state. But Lazarus Group is the one that's likely conducted Operation Dream Job. Yep, and that's question one. When was this operation first observed? In the metadata here, we see that it was first seen 2019, last seen August 2020. So let's just take September 2019 rather, and then that is our task 2. There are 2 campaigns associated with Operation Dream Job. One is Operation North Star. What is the other? In the summary here, fake job lures and code similarities between Operation Dream Job, Operation North Star, and Operation Interception. We can also see that here in the associated campaigns. And if we wanted to, we could go and read all about those particular campaigns. During Operation Dream Job, there were 2 system binaries used for proxy execution. One was reg SVR32. What was the other? So we're getting into some of the technical details now, but these are still all documented on here. I'll show you a couple of ways that you can do these. So this is just the table format of the attack enterprise techniques used by this in this particular campaign, and we are looking for proxy execution, and we can keep going through here. So we've got system binary, proxy execution, reg SVR32. That's the one that was given, and the question wants the other one, rundle32 or rundll32, depends on how you want to pronounce that. Okay, here's number 4. What lateral movement technique did the adversary use? So this is all very well and good in table format here. However, it's not necessarily that easy to read, certainly not very easy to visualize, and it also doesn't give you much about the tactics used here. So we can see them in some of this information, in some of the descriptions maybe. But over here, we've got a link to the Attack Navigator. Now, Attack Navigator is a really cool additional tool on top of MITRE ATT&CK that allows you to visualize attacks against the enterprise matrix. What I'll do first of all is go into layer controls and just condense this, the sub techniques, so we just get the key information here. And you can see where we've got highlights of which of the actual techniques out of the entire matrix are mentioned as part of this. It's a really cool tool. You can build your own if you're mapping something against a particular threat actor, or potentially you're doing some purple team testing and you want to highlight which of the techniques you have got detections for versus which you haven't. You can use this kind of thing to create heat maps. And it's a really, really useful resource. You can find that at MITRE ATT&CK github.io. It's a really, really cool tool. Anyway, the question is asking us about what lateral movement technique did the adversary use. So we want to go to our lateral movement tactic. That's this pillar here. And the one that is highlighted is internal spear phishing. So I can copy that. Can I copy that? Let's just view the technique. I'll put it over here, mainly because I don't want to type it in by hand because I'm lazy. Internal spear phishing is the lateral movement technique. What is the technique ID for the previous answer? Okay, great. We've already got that open. Each of these techniques has got its own unique ID. And that is over here, T1534. And that is number 6. What remote access Trojan did the Lazarus Group use in Operation Dream Job? Okay, so back in our original page that we're on, the campaign, we can see we've got the associated campaigns, we've got the groups, the techniques. Further on down here, we have got the software used. We can see there's 3 documented here: Lazarus, Responder, and Turisma. Lazarus is a remote access Trojan. That's what the RAT is in that name. So that is what is being looked for here. What technique did the malware use for execution? So I said this is like the IMDb, or maybe the Wikipedia, I suppose, might be more accurate for threat actor activity. Of course, we can pivot from this campaign over to that piece of software, and let's have a look at the information that that's got. So we've got some information about the software, we've got some techniques used, groups that use it, campaigns. I mean, in this particular instance, it's fairly unique. It's a pivot just from what we've just seen, but you could find this is used in lots of other campaigns by lots of threat actors. So if you were to look at something like Mimikatz, for example, that would have a lot more information around lots of people using that. In this case, it's quite unique, and we are looking for the execution technique. What technique did the malware use for execution? I am going to do this again in the attack navigator because I really like it. Once more, I'm just going to close off these sub techniques to make it a little more visible. There's a lot of information on here, obviously. Hopefully you'll be able to see it all. But here we go. Here's the execution tactic, and the technique is native API. Let's view that technique. Native API. What technique did the malware use to avoid detection in a sandbox? We can look back in our attack navigator here. This time around, we can see that there is just a few things being highlighted here. Now, I did remove some of the sub techniques later on, but we do need to see them for this. So if I just open up the sub techniques where there is something relevant, So you can see we haven't got every sub-technique. There's lots of options you can have for this, the visualizations here, but we're looking for avoid detection in a sandbox. So in our defense evasion tactic, scroll right the way through, and we can see in the sandbox evasion, there's time-based checks. The other way you could likely see this, this should also be documented here. Yeah, time-based checks here. So it's using these particular APIs: get, take, count, get system time and file time. So time-based checks is what we are looking for here. So let's just copy that. To answer the remaining questions, utilize VirusTotal and refer to the IOCs.txt file. What is the name associated with the first hash provided in the IOC file? And we downloaded those earlier on. Let's just open that up in cat. And we got these 3 hashes. Let's quickly move to VirusTotal. And in VirusTotal, we can just, we can upload files, we can browse the URLs, but you can just, in the global search window up here, you can just paste in that hash and see what information we get back. And this has got quite a strong detection rate. We can see here it is all sorts of different names associated with it. But iExplore.exe is the file name that's actually being picked up as the main sort of file name associated with that hash. I'm just looking here if there's anything that stands out in particular here. I mean, obviously these virus family names are a bit wild. You can see here there's something just behind my head, so I'll just scroll up a bit. There's one here that links to Lazarus IOC. But anyway, there's that. This iExplore.exe is the main file associated with that. When was the file associated with the second hash in the IOC first created? Okay, back in our hashes, let's do the same thing again. Put that in our clipboard. Oh. And we can see this time we've got this Sumatra PDF.exe. This is looking for a date. When was the file associated with the second hash in the IOC first created? So for this, we can go to our details tab. We can get lots of information about the file itself. And the creation time for this, the UTC creation timestamp, is there. So it first created at 12th of May 2020. Task 12. What is the name of the parent execution file associated with the second hash in the IOC? So the parent execution file. So we're still on the second hash here. We can keep scrolling through. I'm not sure if we see that in here. That'll probably be in the relations tab. So we can see these are the domains it reaches out to. These are the IP addresses it contacts. And then, yes, here is the execution parents. So this file will execute the Sumatra PDF.exe, which we just saw. So that's the name of that we're looking for. So there's an exe buried in that ISO file. ISO file is just like a file archive, a bit like a zip file, something like that. It's usually like a disk image. So that will have files inside it, and this has got the malicious file inside it. Examine the third hash provided. What is the file name likely used in the campaign that aligns with the adversary's known tactics? Okay, so this time around, let's have a look at this. And let's have a look at the details. And these are the names that have been documented to be associated with that. Now, if we remember, this is called Operation Dream Job. And we saw right at the beginning in the campaign, let's open it back up here, the fake job lures. So this is all about sort of socially engineering people to open up malicious documents with the promise of dream jobs. Oh, sorry. If we look at the files here, so we've got salary.doc, not so much information here, but the key one really we're looking for here is salary, Lockheed Martin, job opportunities confidential. That aligns with the information we've got about the campaign. So that is the doc file, the answer here. Now, if you were using this as a threat intel analyst, you really would be extracting all of this information, turning it into something actionable for your threat hunters to go and look. Do we have any of these IOCs in our network? Do we look like we've had any compromise from this? That's really what you're doing here, extracting information from lots of sources and turning it into something actionable. Let's copy that in there. And then finally, number 14, which malicious URL in the contacted URLs is used to fetch a secondary docx file? Yeah, okay. This is the same thing. So we're looking again for relations, and we're looking for callouts to other files. Here we can see the callouts, and right here we've got this docx. So markettrendingcenter.com lk job opor docx is a file that this file downloads. That is what we're looking for here. And there we go. That is Dream Job 1. So that wraps up Dream Job 1. Thank you for watching. As I mentioned in the intro, this is the first in a two-part series of threat intel Sherlocks relating to this campaign and this APT. The second in the series retires this week at the time of recording, so if you want to be informed about when I upload that video, please do subscribe to the channel and like this video. Please do check out Sherlock's on HackTheBox. We've got over 100 available to play. Many of them are free. There's a new one released every Thursday, but for now, diolch yn fawr.